welcome back at the Not Just Sawdust channel. No sawdust making, no recycling, no painting this time. This is about our trip to the Netherlands. We got some worrying news from the family, so we decided to visit our old country, which has been about 7 or 8 years ago since I've been there for the last time. My mother went to the hospital, and so we decided to do this trip, although it's December and it's the worst time to do this trip. It's cold, you can expect some snow. So nevertheless, we went, and the trip went pretty well up until we got to Luxembourg. Well, we drove from Nancy, which is the route to Sud, from Nancy to Trier in Germany, which is the fastest way. And during that trip in our stop in Trier, we got some problems with the car, but that's something for later. We rented a little cottage in really the middle of nowhere called Ruurlo. But it was a nice cottage, and the dogs were welcome. There were some goats and some chickens that they could look at. Weren't allowed to play with them, of course. But what we didn't realize was that it was far away from any big city, and really dark. But yeah, we rented it for a week, but because of the car trouble, we had to extend that time for an extra week. The location of the little cottage was pretty far away, which you could see when you did the trip during the night. There are no light poles, there's really nothing than your GPS system in the car that will get you there. Of course, we did some shopping, and on my birthday, which was the 5th, we went out. Of course, we bought some stuff that my wife really likes, which is licorice, some kind of alcoholic drink, which is called drop shot, which is much cheaper in Germany than it is in the Netherlands. Ruurlo is a place that's between the cities where our families live. So Miriam's family lives in the east, my family lives in the middle of Holland, so that little place that we rented was in the middle of it. We also went to a place called Vreden, which means peace, I guess, and we had some coffee and some apple pie, which blew us away. 18 euros for just 2 cups of coffee and 2 little pieces of apple pie. For people from the south, from Portugal and Spain, I think Northern Europe becomes just too expensive to go on holiday. You know, we had a reason to go, but yeah, the prices over there are really crazy, really crazy. of course, after all this time, I took a trip through memory lane, drove through the places that I lived in. A little place called Eisendoorn, where I bought my first house, and a place called Echteld, where I grew up in. Just two little villages in the middle of Holland, in a place called, a region called the Betuwe, and it's full of fruit farmers, so lots of apples and cherries and pears, and a really nice neighborhood to live in. But I just passed the little house that I bought, the first house I bought when I was 21, and I could never afford that house anymore now at this moment. We visit my mother a few times. She is doing better, but she will go into a care home, which I think is the best solution. But it was really nice to see her after 7 years or 8 years. Of course, we sometimes have contact through phone or. But yeah, it was a long time, and it was maybe the last time. I don't know. With this little car, it's cheaper to drive to the Netherlands. It makes a lot of difference compared to the van we had. On the other hand, you can't stop during the trip because it's just, well, cold, and you would have to rent something. We saw a lot of family and friends. Some we visited, some friends visited us in the little cottage. And well, after having the car repaired, which was a fuel filter that wasn't renewed by the garage when we bought the car. They did all the other stuff, but they didn't do the filter, and we found out that it's in an awkward place, and it's just because they were lazy. And it made us drive about 300 kilometers at 2000 RPM because the car, this is a modern car, goes into some kind of security mode. But on our way back it got colder and colder, and we had an agreement with friends of ours who live in France. Normally we stop at a place and go to a campsite, but we can't do this now. Now we don't have the van anymore, so they offered us to stay with in their place. So that was really nice, but the way to it was really cold. It was freezing, and we saw even snow. So yeah, driving through the French countryside is really nice and it's beautiful, but it's better to do this in summer, I think. December is not the right time to do that. After driving a whole night, we arrived at our friend's place around 11 in the morning, so we could have like a day of rest and sleep there and then go away the next morning. Now they do have a beautiful French farm, and they got like a fence all around it, so it was really great for the dogs to run around with their dogs. We had a nice meal, we had nice conversations because we didn't see each other for a long time. Again, Ton and Annemiek, thanks for having us and letting us sleep in your gîte. Yeah, that was a really good choice we made on our way back, not to just sit in the car and sleep a few hours and then drive on again. because that really didn't work on our way to the Netherlands. That was really a bad decision to take, especially when it's so cold. Now on our way back the next morning, well, it was freezing, but the car drives well again, although there are some little things that don't work. We've got some kind of tire on the back that makes a lot of noise. One of our headlights broke down. Luckily enough, we had the fog lights that were working, so we still could see something. But on our way to Bordeaux, yeah, it was really cold and misty and not a nice place to drive. Still, we saw Santa Claus coming up on a motorbike, passing us. Some crazy people out there in the cold, but that was, yeah, nice to see. We took all the tunnels to Spain because that's the cheapest way. It will cost you 15 euros on toll, but it's really worth it. It's more than 30 long tunnels, and guess what? At every end of the tunnel there's some light. And that's my message for all of you who are watching. The world isn't really a nice place at the moment in a lot of places, but any tunnel has some light at the end, and I guess that's what we need to cherish, and that's what we need to work at. So from being back at home in Barbacena, we, Miriam and Gerrit, and our two little dogs, Ella and Otis, wish you nice holidays, a nice Christmas, a good New Year, and hopefully we see each other back with a lot of creative projects in 2025. Até logo.